Hey there, welcome to another video on chess. This is Bharat Divyang from Zhuang Academy. You might have heard of this term, thinking by first principles. It basically means that when you look at a problem, you think of the first principles and you don't really borrow or rely on models that have already been created. You look at the very fundamental principles that define the problem and then you try to solve the problem. But often the question is, how does one develop first principles? And the answer to that is a lot of observation. So you observe what's happening around the world, you observe things within the space that you're trying to solve it in. And when you look at enough number of observations, I think the principles emerge out of it. Okay, now how do we apply that in chess? In chess, you look at games played by others, right? So almost every chess pedagogy out there is going to have analysis of master games. And if you're ever interested in going and searching master games, all you have to do is go to this game website called chessgames.com, search for a specific grandmaster. Like here, I've done a search for Gary Kasparov's greatest chess games, and this is basically all the list of games that's there. You can just start analyzing these games, and you'll get a sense of how Kasparov thinks, and what are the fundamentals that he uses in terms of making his games very, very effective. But the problem is this, because most of the time, we're dealing with people who are not yet grandmasters, who are in the path to becoming grandmasters, who are amateurs, who are yet to become professionals. And sometimes the grandmaster games can be a little daunting. In that case, you need something which is a little bit closer to home. What do you do for that? You have to start looking at amateur games. And how do you actually go search for amateur games? And that's where lichess.org comes in, which is the largest database of amateur games. And as you can see here on the right, there are like 86,000 players right now, the 36,000 games in play, 36,000 games being played right now. But all these games are just going to go into a database, and it's kind of useless unless you learn how to analyze this. So one of the ways you can do that, which is what I want to cover in today's discussion, is go to tools, click on advanced search, and you can actually start searching for games based on certain parameters. For example, let's look at the simplest of games, ratings between 400 to 500, which is, I would say, completely a novice level. You can think of games which at least have 10 moves so that it's not the abandoned games, somewhere between 10 to 25 moves. And I would like to see the result to be one which is a mate, right? So it's a mate. So we want to see the game finishing with a checkmate. So let's go and search this. And you can see here, it's searching through close to 10 billion chess games. And as you can see, you get this option. Now, you can further filter this. There are about 3,900 games, but you can, for example, look at more rapid games than, like, say, Blitz. So the first level I would go is to start clicking on rapid games. And when you look at games like this, it gives you a sense. So this is like a game that has gone on for about 25 moves exactly. What is it that you're looking for? You're looking for two things. One is the kind of checkmate that happens at the end of it, but more importantly, the blunders that's made by people who are playing these games, right? And so let's take this one. So e4, e5, queen out, bishop out. They're looking for a four-move checkmate, which is blocked out. Continuing to look for that, and black doesn't defend it. So here's your first mistake from black's perspective. So when the queen moves to b3, it's very clear that he's trying to attack the f7 pawn. Something could have been played. For example, queen can come here to defend this, though it's not ideal positionally. It's something that can be done. You could also move this one. You could play this. That way, even if the pawn is taken, it might be a bit of a blunder. Nevertheless, he decides to move out. Bishop comes out. So here's your second blunder. The moment the bishop moves out, this pawn becomes hanging. These are the kind of blunders that happens when you're a novice, which can be prevented as you go at a higher level. And now there is no other option but to capture. Now, this is the problem even with the opponents. Not like white's playing the best game here. Remember, the rating here is 400 to 500. So all white had to do was to take the bishop. Instead of that, he decides not to do it and loses the rook instead, gets the knight. And as you can see, there's more blunders happening. Right? And that completely takes you to a different level. And now we don't know who's making more blunders and which way the game is going, but definitely seems extremely exciting, especially with moves like Queen E1 Queen E8 losing the queen to a knight, and eventually. So at this moment, when this is a check, I think all White had to do was capture the queen, and at least you're coming back to some level of equality, even though it's not ideally the same. Right? But the moment you let go of that, I think checkmate is out there in the offing. So as you can see, it was a game that White should have won, Black should have won. So what can you learn from it? Like, one, you don't want to go through this very fast. Maybe first iteration can be that. But the second iteration can be spending some time here. Was this really necessary to lose this pawn? Could White have directly moved here and attacked it? Is that possible? Maybe. But nevertheless, Black could have defended the f7 pawn. He did not. And eventually that led to way many more problems. Okay, is this the best defense? Can the defense be bishop here, leading to an exchange followed by getting the knight? Or actually, say, lose the position a bit, but take it back with the knight, which would put White in a more commanding position. But with the queen moving out, maybe White should have castled here to protect this pawn. So as you can see, a lot of blunder that happens is pretty straightforward, right? But you want to see this because you want to understand what it means to be in this level. This indicates that players who are typically between 400 to 500 are yet to master these fundamentals of looking at the board, observing these attacks. And sometimes when you miss out these attacks, it often leads to hurt. Now, you could do this in your own games, but in the absence of being able to check your own games, you definitely want to look at games played by others who are roughly around your rating. I'm just showing you a sample of 400 to 500, but you could absolutely go here and change the rating to suit the level that you are playing at right now and observe, say, 10 to 20 games. And you'd get a sense of the kind of blunders that's being made, the kind of errors that's being made. And that will give you an idea of, the principles involved that you need to avoid. And as you avoid more and more blunders in your games, definitely you will see your game improving a lot more. So use these tools that's available to make your game better. One, go to chess games, search for a grandmaster game, look at these games and see if you can learn something from it. Go to Lichess tools and advanced search and search for the rating range that you're interested in to understand how players within that range actually play. What is the flavor of their game? What kind of errors do they make? What kind of blunders do they see in their games? And how can you capitalize on that when you play your game and improve on your rating? I hope you found this video insightful and interesting. If so, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.